Hello and welcome everyone to day of session. So myself Abdi, a very good evening or good morning to you all based on from where you are connected. So the session, can all of you confirm that you are able to hear me well and see my screen? Okay, good. So Vivek is saying my voice is breaking. Does anyone else have the same feedback? Can all of you hear me well? Please respond by the chat message. Oh, let me reconnect my headset 1 minute. How about now? Can all of you hear me? Okay, good. So Srijana is saying she was not able to attend the last class. So Srijana, what you can do is in your LMS portal, you will have access to the videos of last session, previous sessions. So you can go through those videos, and if you have any doubt after going through that one, then you can send an email, and I'll respond to you. Okay. So before starting today's session, let's have a small recap of what we covered last day. So we saw about virtual machine, then we saw hypervisor, types of hypervisor, then what about Vagrant, which is a JSON file, creating virtual machine using Vagrant. These are the things that we have seen during the last session. Okay, so does any of you have any doubt in those topics? Some of you asked, email me your doubts, and I reply to those emails. So I hope you are able to work on that. So you are able to try out that Vagrant commands and all. So is there any doubt? Tushar is asking, is it not possible to do SSH to user via Vagrant user? Actually, Tushar, that is a gray area in the case of because there is an option where you can specify the username, but that is for that is not that won't work as such, because by default Vagrant uses two users like root and Vagrant. Those two root users will be created, and Vagrant by default you will have the access. But if you want to create a new user for SSH, then I would suggest SSHing into that instance or that machine using Vagrant user, and then create a new user, and after that you can SSH via that user. That would be the best option to try out. Okay. So, is there any other doubt? So, Fritz is saying the video recording is kind of small. I'm not sure if I'm the only one seeing that. Fritz, I'm not sure what you are talking about, but the video recording should be in pretty standard size. But anyway, you can, if you have if you have any questions regarding this, please send an email to Collabora support. Okay, Tushar is saying, I also tried to change default password, but that didn't work. Okay, so Tushar, in order to change default password, what you have to do is you have to go into Vagrant user, and then you have to execute the commands that you will do to change the password for any user in Linux machine. So that is what you have to to change the password. So by SSHing into your system. Okay, 1 minute. My voice is still not clear. So can you please confirm that you are able to hear me well? Some people are saying my voice is breaking. So can you please confirm? Can all of you please confirm so that I can be sure that it's something on my part? Okay, so it looks like there is some issue with the thing. So okay, so Mahesh saying it's clear, then Murli is saying it's clear. Okay, actually there are a lot of people who are able to uh, uh, who are able to hear me well. So please check the connection on your end. But to answer Tushar's question, Tushar, what we can do is, in order to change the default password for Wake, what you can do is you can access into that machine, then you can execute the password, and then you can type in the new password. That is how you change the password for a user in Linux machine. So you can execute the same thing and it will work. Okay, so Mahesh says, today I have sent vegan practical session out to club, but didn't get in. Mahesh, actually, I have sent that email. I will be sending that email to you. I am not sure if I received your question, but try to send during the weekdays, like from Tuesday to Friday. Try to send your questions, because I'll be mostly online during those days. Other days I may be offline for in between, so I won't be able to check those questions mostly during those days. But in between I'll be checking, and if I get the questions, I'll get a reply to you definitely. Okay, so Tushar is asking, is there any way we can achieve that at the time of creating virtual machine? Can we change default password for vegan user? Tushar, I would suggest doing that. In order to do that, I would suggest using the provision section to do that, because the provision section, it will be executed first time, each and every time the instance is loaded. So if you add this code, if you add the command like sudo ps wd, then vegan, that command and the username password, but still this is using the command line, like you'll have to input the password. So you have to find out the command that you can use in Linux to automatically change the I think you'll have to edit some files and change the password, but that you'll have to find out. But you can do it in provision if you don't want to do it after assessing in the system. Okay, so Akhil is saying, I was not able to view Vagrant VirtualBox in GUI, although status was showing running and able to associate it. Akhil, do you have VMware installed apart from VirtualBox in your machine? Akhil is saying, yes, Akhil, if you have VMware installed, then the first preference for Vagrant will be VMware. So please check your VMware GUI and you should see those machines. So there is a hierarchy in like how we can check which virtualization tool to use if both are installed, but the preference is given to VMware. Okay, so Murli is asking, we need to install VMware plugin to use VMware Workstation. Actually, VMware has got both server and workstation. But if you have VMware installed, sorry, if you have VMware in VMware software installed on your machine, using which you can create virtual machines, like with using the GUI, then you can definitely use Vagrant and you will use the VMware to create that. You don't have to configure it separately. Okay, so Navindu is asking, I have both VMware and VirtualBox, but it's not interacting with VMware. Navindu, that is the default priority, but in your variant file, you can specify, like if you want to interact with want variant to interact with VirtualBox instead of VMware first, or the priority you want to change, you can specify it in variant file. But as far as I'm concerned, the priority is always given to VMware. That's how it is. But I don't know why, if you specify, it's happening like VirtualBox is given in your system. Maybe VMware is not configured correctly. I'm not sure. Okay, so Virendra is saying my voice is breaking again. Virendra, others are able to hear me. So please check the things in your end. Okay. Tushar is saying, Kyadi also is saying, okay. So what I will do is I'll try to slow down. So I'll talk slowly. So even if there is small break, you will be able to hear. Okay, so I'm not sure why this is happening. The settings on my end appears to be correct. Okay, so I'll talk slowly so that this break, if there are any break in between, then don't affect your understanding. Okay, so any doubt in the topics that we covered last session? Anyone? Any other doubts? Murli Krishnan is asking, do you mean VMware Workstation or VMware Player? Murli, what is the what is the software that you are using to create virtual machines in your system using the GUI? Is it VMware Workstation or VMware Player? VMware Workstation, right? So that is the software that will be that Vagrant will be interacting with. See, Vagrant is just a wrapper around the virtualization tool. So Vagrant will need a virtualization tool. In your case, if it is VMware Workstation, then that is what Vagrant will try to access. Only saying it's not interacting. So do you have a VirtualBox installed? Yep. Okay, so what you can do is you can try installing VirtualBox as well and see whether your Vagrant is trying like whether Vagrant is communicating with that VirtualBox instead of VMware. Like if Vagrant is not able to communicate with VMware or the first preference, then it will always go to the second preference. So in your case, it will be like if Vagrant is not able to communicate with VMware, then it will look for VirtualBox and use that. Just try that out and send me the reply like whatever you are getting the output, please send that to me via the email and I'll get back to you. Okay. Okay, good. So now any other questions? If there are no other questions, then we can start with today's session. Okay, so what you can do is if you have any more doubts, please send me an email and I'll get back to you. Okay, so Nabendu saying he has a doubt. Yes, Nabendu, please ask your question. Nabendu, send one link. Okay. Nabendu has doubt on which box to use. Nabendu, the box that I am explaining during my session, it's Ubuntu slash Trustee64. I'll just type in so that it will be clear. Ubuntu slash Trustee64. Okay, this is the one that we are using, but if you want to create a different virtual machine from different box, then you can use that box. It's up to you actually, which type of virtual box that you want to create. Okay, so if that's it, then we'll proceed with today's session. So please send your questions to me by email and I'll get back to you. Okay, so today we'll be seeing about version control. Like we saw the different tool set that are required in DevOps, right? So the first tool set that we saw about virtualization. Now what we are going to see is we are going to see about version control and a tool for version control called Git. Okay, so let's proceed. So first we have to understand why we need version control systems. So remember, version control is for text-based documents, not for images or PDF. Even though it will work with those files, it is designed for text-based documents. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Okay, so now we'll see why we need version control systems. So first one is easily track changes. Using version control system, Vivek is asking what is version control. Vivek will come to that. Okay, so version control means you will have, say, if you have a file, then you will be able to track that file with the help of version control. Okay, so if you have a file, you'll be able to track the changes, or you'll be able to keep track of the version of that file, or you'll be able to keep track of that file in general with the help of version control system. Okay, now Rashmi, we have asking what kind of files. In version control system is made text-based document with images. Mainly, it is used for text-based documents, TXT files, doc files, those. Okay. Okay, good. Now, Coming back to my point, version control system. Why version control system? First is easily track changes. You'll be able to track the changes to files easily. Okay. So next thing is in file and files or folders. So when you are developing, general tendency of like one particular, if one were, and what they will do, it was I was doing it. But what we'll do is we'll rename that file. We'll be renaming it as okay, good. This file is good. We'll be duplicating the file and putting it somewhere or at the same for like that. We'll eliminates the need of, so you don't have to now, you don't have to rename your files, you don't have to duplicate the files and rename those things. Okay, so what you can do is you can use the same file and folder name and you will be able to get your versions from that one. You don't have to rename at all. Okay, is it clear? Okay, it looks like there are issues with my voice. Let me check my audio settings. But my audio settings, it's clear. Okay, so are all of you facing the issue of my voice breaking? Okay, so what I do is, please bear with me. Give me 2 minutes. I'll just restart my modem and see whether it is my connection issue. Okay. Okay, so how about now? Am I audible now? Okay, good. Okay, so Riza asked like she's not able to hear. Riza, we are only starting. There was some issue with my audio, so I had to restart my connection so that my modem so that my connection will be reset. Okay. So Prapanshu is asking, can you please repeat the last slide? Prapanshu, this is the first slide that we are starting with. Okay, so let's start. So as I was saying, version control systems is mainly for text-based documents. So text-based documents. Okay, it's not meant for images or PDFs. Okay, so when you hear about version control, you have to always think about text-based documents like TXT files or your uh, .php file or those kind of things. Okay, so Divya is asking, is version control system and source code management is safe? Yes, actually, the version control system, it can be used as source code management as well. So basically, in the DevOps context, when we talk about version control system, then it is source code management software. Okay. Now, we'll see why we need version control systems. First is easily track changes. So you'll be able to track the changes to your files, like in any number of files using version control system. Then consistent file and folder names. Like you no need to rename files or folders. Like as developers, in the earlier stages, what developers will do is once a particular functionality works or whatever they are working on, if once it works, what they'll do is they'll duplicate that folder or that particular file and rename it to something like they'll put it like the version number, or they'll add say good at the end and keep it somewhere safe, so that if something breaks after that, they can just go back to that file and use that file. But with the help of version control systems, you don't have to do that, because all your changes, all each and every change that you make in your files and folders, it will be available to you anytime. Okay. So now Prapanshu is asking, in VirtualBox, is there a chance of virus attack? And if it's so, then in case of cloud virtualization also, do we need antivirus? Prapanshu, basically any system which has access to outside world or the internet has a chance of virus affection. So but mostly like Linux based system, the number of viruses that are available for Linux based systems are very less compared to Windows machines. So I won't like insist on having antivirus software if it is Linux based system, but still if it is there, then it's good. Okay, so Nabendu is asking, how does it track the changes? Nabendu, we'll come to that in the upcoming slide. Okay, so Prapanshu is asking, in cloud, how do we put antivirus? Prapanshu, that is out of the scope of this training. But what you can do is you can send me an email and I'll get back to you. Okay, so let's proceed with today's topic. The third thing is easily do or undo changes, like ability to undo many files or folders together. Like if there is any change, or if you want to undo your last change, or if you don't want your last change, then what you can do is with the help of version control system, you can easily undo the changes. And not only that, you'll be able to do bulk undo. Like if you edit say multiple files, then all those file changes will be can be reverted if you are using version control system. Okay, next is use as a communication tool. Like when you commit, or if after making your changes, when you push your changes and all, at that time you'll be able to add comments to the thing, comments to the changes. So when someone else, some other developer in your team, if they read that comment, then they will be able to know, okay, what is the thing that you have done in the last change or last update. So it can act as a communication tool or documentation tool as well. That is the next point, which is accountability. Track who made what changes. Like now, if there are say multiple developers working on the same file or same repository, and say one developer has made some mistake, then using this version control system, using its log and comments, then you'll be able to know which developer has made that change, or which developer made that mistake, and you'll be able to ask them to fix that issue. Okay, so those are the things that are available with version control. Those are the reasons why we use version control system. Okay, finally, states or checkpoints like branches and tags for production staging. Like you will be able to tag your code, or you'll be able to add different tags to your code, or different names to your particular stage of the code, and you can specify, okay, this code is working on production, or this code is working on, say, testing, like that. Okay, so Akhil is asking, is particularly for Git version control, or is it applicable to others as well? Akhil, it is applicable to others as well, but we'll be using Git as the example here because it is the most popular one. Okay, for generally for version control systems, all these things are applicable. Okay, now in the case of version control, there are three types of version control systems available. Okay, so first one is local. Like in this case, there are no servers. A single user manages the changes locally. Though such a single user local version control does not really exist, Git, which is a distributed version control, works perfectly. Like a local Git, like local version control as such is not available at the moment. But Git, which is a distributed version control system, which we'll see what distributed version control system is. But even though Git is a distributed version control system, it can be used locally. Okay, so it can be used local isolated. It can be used as a local isolated version control system. Okay, so that is local. Like there is no server, there is no common repository. Like it will be like you have your repository in your machine, and it's not accessible to anyone. Okay, Khadi is asking, where do we use local? Khadi, when if you are, say, a freelancer or someone, then you have your changes, or you have your codes that you want to keep track of. Then what you can do is you can do it, implement local version control system, because you don't have to share your code to anyone. You don't have any code developers working along with you, but this versioning system is only for you. You want to keep track of your files, and only you will be using that. Then you can go for local. Is it clear, Khadi? Okay, now next is centralized. Okay, so here in a centralized version control system, it has a controlled access. Okay, and it provides you with a GUI. It is an older thing, but the main concept of a centralized system is that it works in a client server relationship. Like there will be a server, and as a client, like if you want to edit a file, then your client will download the file from the server, will make the change, and when you push, the file will be saved back to the server. There is no copy of those files or your repo as a whole in your local machine when you are working with centralized systems or centralized version control systems. An example for this is Subversion. So is it clear? The centralized version control system, is it clear? So there is no local copy of the files. There is only a central version or server. In your server, you have the files, you have the copy of the files, and you will be editing the same. Like when you are trying to edit, at that time you will be pulling that file alone, and you will be making that change. And when you push the change, that file will be saved in the server, not in your local machine. So Rashmi is asking, so multiple client can change the file at the same time. Yes, Rashmi, multiple client can change the file at the same time, but when you push at that time, you will have to make sure that there are no conflicts. But that is common for any version control system. Uma Shankar is asking where we are pulling local. Yes, we'll be pulling it locally. Like if you or in the case of like local is not exactly correct, because see, for such centralized version control system, you will have a GUI. Like you will have an interface where you can see the files and edit the files. So in that file, like it will be like a web server application. It will be like an application served from a web. So you'll be editing using that GUI, and when you save, it will be saved in that server. So there is no local copy available in your machine. So if you don't have internet connection, then you won't be able to work with that file at all. Is it clear? Venkatakishore, I hope this answered your question as well. Okay. Now the final one is distributed. So the in distributed version control system, there are no servers, so it is faster and reliable. Okay, so these are relatively new option, but in this distributed version control system, each user has their own copy of the entire repository, not just the files, but the history as well. So once you have a distributed version control system, what it will do is once you pull a repository, all the files and all the changes and all the history will be available to you in your local machine as well. So now there will be a copy in the central repository if there is a central repository, and one in your local machine. And if some other developer make a clone or pulls the same repository on his machine, his or her machine, then what, they will also have the same repository. So this entire repository can be there on your local machine, can be there on a centralized on a web server, or on your server. It can be there with another developer. It can be anywhere. Okay, so it will be like you have multiple copies of your entire repository on whichever machine which are working on that particular repo. Okay, and apart from that file, apart from the entire repository, you will have the changes also. So those changes and those history and all those details will be there in each and every copy of that repository. That is what distributed version control system is. So Rashmi is asking how consistency is maintained about changes. Okay, Rashmi, in this distributed version control system, after pulling your changes, you will be making the changes locally, and finally, when you push, it will be synced to the centralized unit or synced in the server to the server. At that time, it will be merging those changes from multiple users and all, multiple repositories and all, multiple copies. Okay. So Nabendu is asking, where does that central repository in some server? Yes, Nabendu, it can be in your, say, in your local server, or it can be in a cloud-based server, or like in the case of GitHub and all, it is a repository for like you can create your own public repository in GitHub. So that can be one option also. Okay. So Akhil is asking, does distributed version control requires internet to push to server? Yes, to push to server it does, but you can change, or you can keep track of the file. You can commit your changes locally as well without pushing to server. And finally, after committing say 2 or 3 times, finally when you have internet connection, you can push the whole change to the server also when you are using distributed version control system. Okay, Venkateshwar is asking which one of these three can be used in organization. Venkateshwar will be mostly working like organizations mostly need distributed system, because there will be multiple developers working on the same files and all. So they will need distributed system. So that is why we'll be focusing on distributed system. Okay, Riza is asking how could we make sure no other is pushing the file parallelly. Rajita, there is no way of making sure there is like they are not pushing parallelly. But if say two players or two users are trying to push the same file, then the second user who is pushing will get a conflict error. So what they'll have to do is they'll have to pull the changes made by the other push, and then they'll have to push again. Okay, they'll have to merge and push again. That is the only way to do that. You have to fix the conflict and push it once again. Okay, so Navendu is asking how is distributed version control different than centralized? Okay, so Nabendu, in the case of distributed version control system, it's not client server architecture. Like there is like you can have server, but you can do it without server also. Like you can maintain the copy of the entire repo will be in your local machine also. In the client also, the copy of entire machine will be there. But in the case of centralized version control system, you won't be downloading the entire repository. You will only have access to the file that you are editing. And once you make the change, or once you save that file, or once you push the saved file, after pushing, you don't have that file anymore in your local system or in your client. Is it clear? Okay, Reza is asking, Git is something like a community or repository. Actually, Git is a version control system. GitHub is a centralized, is a distributed version control system server. Like you'll be able to host your public repository, which can be accessible by others using GitHub. Okay, so okay, I hope I answered all of your questions because there are a lot of questions coming. So I hope I answered all of your questions. Okay, so let's proceed. Now, Linus Torvald is the inventor of Git. You know Linus Torvald, right? He is the inventor of Linux. So he is the one who has developed Git also. So we'll be focusing on the Git version control system. Okay, so Kyadi is asking, will distributed be secure? Yes, Kyadi, like you will have access to instead, like unless it is a public repo, you'll need permission to access a private repository. But if it is a public repository, then of course if they have the URL, they others will be able to get the code. But that is the use of that is why Git came into being. Because see, in today's world, most of the things are open source, including Linux operating system. That is why Linus Torvalds invented. That is the reason why he invented Git, because when he was working with Linux, you all know that Linux is an open source software. So in order to have access, in order to give access to other developers who can contribute to that operating system, he wanted a version control system like Git. That is why he created the Git version control system. Okay, Prashant is asking, can you please show us the demo? How does Git work? Prashant, that is what we are doing in this session. So please be patient. Okay. Now, to install Git or Git, it can be pronounced as Git or Git. So I'll be pronouncing as Git. So that's it. Okay. So in order to install on Linux, you can use apt get update or yum install based on the flavor of Linux that you are using. And for Windows, you can download the software from this URL and install the software in your machine. Okay. Now, once you have Git installed in your machine, there are some things that you will have to configure. Or so Reza is asking, in order to proceed, one more question, please. What is the difference between Git and Git version control? Actually, Git is the Git version control. We are just saying it as Git instead of saying Git version control every time. We are saying it as Git. So there is no difference. Okay. Now, as you can see, first thing, like after you install Git, what you can do is you can configure your name, your email address, all those things in your Git. So this is not for any authentication. Please be aware of that. Okay, so this is not for authentication. This is for commenting, or this is for documentation purpose. As I told you earlier, in the case of version control systems, when you make a change, when you commit a change, at that time you can add comments, right? And I told you that it adds to accountability, like others can know who pushed that change and all. So this username and this email that you are providing will be used for that purpose. Okay. Now, if you want to specify the editor that you want to use, then you can specify that also. In the case of Mac and Linux, the default editor will be Nano. And if you want to check the list of configuration that is there in your machine, what you can do is you can execute the command git config user.name. This will give the username that is configured in your Git. So in order to use Git, you'll be using the git command. Okay. Now, if you want to get the list of all the configurations, then what you can do is you can use the command git config minus minus list, and it will show all the configurations that are there, git configurations that are there in your machine. Okay, as you can see, like editor for me is Nano and this. So all these things you will be able to change as well. So Khyadi is asking, which terminal are you using? Khyadi, I am working on Mac. My machine is Mac, so I am using the terminals of Mac, the default terminal of Mac. So that supports all these things. So Nabindu is asking, could you please ping the link to download Git for Windows? Nabindu, you will get the presentation at the end of the session, so you will have the link by that time. Okay, so you can just click that and install it. So Khadi is asking, for Windows we use which terminal? Khadi, I would suggest installing a Git Bash on Windows so that you can work with it. Okay, Rashmi, I hope I answered your question as well. Please don't use command prompt. Okay, now we'll see how to create Git or create a repository, create a Git repository. That is what we are going to do now. Okay, so first let me show you. Okay, so as you can see, my folder is empty. So Vikesh is asking, anyway we can use this on iOS. Vikesh, actually there are no default software there for iOS, but there are some softwares which they provide like this CMD kind of thing also. But I would suggest using a desktop for use for this. Okay, so now Uma Shankar is asking, please share all the documents you did before, so it's good for us to session. Uma Shankar, actually, I want all of you to listen to me during the session. I don't want to spread your concentration across other things. So please be concentrating on what I am saying, so that because see, in order to try out, you have your own time. But if you have any doubt when I am doing, if you follow me carefully, and if you have any doubt, then you can directly ask. But if you miss any point, then you will be thinking about that, okay, I missed that point, what is that? It won't be good for you. So I would suggest, please focus on me when I am training, and after the training, since you have the material including the video available, you can try out on your own. Okay, or Sunil Kumar is asking, in organization while working on Git, we need to configure username and email to push changes. Yes, actually, it is important, because see, if you don't specify, okay, when we do this, when you do the example, I will explain that to you. Okay, I hope after that it will be clear to you. And even after that, if it is not clear, please ask at that time. Okay, Sunil Kumar. Okay, so let's proceed. First, what I am as you can see, I have no folder or nothing in my present directory. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to create a folder. Okay, I'll just name it as demo folder. Now I have that demo folder, and I'm going to cd into that particular folder. Okay, now I am inside my demo folder, which is an empty folder. Okay, now if you want to initialize a Git repository, or initialize this particular folder, which is the demo folder, as a Git repository, then what you have to do is you have to execute the command git init. Okay, that's it. So now you have Git initialized, or you have initialized this repository as a Git repository, or initialize this particular folder or this directory as a Git repository. Now if I do ls minus la, you can see it created a .git folder, which is a hidden folder. I'll show you. See, it is a hidden folder with files that are required for Git to work. Okay, so you don't have to bother about this one. All these things Git will take care of. Only thing is, you have to execute Git init, and you will have your own Git repository in your machine. This is what I mentioned. Like as I mentioned, Git can be used for local repository as well. So now there is no connection to any online repository or any other repository. This is in my local machine. So in my local machine, this demo folder is a Git repository now. Okay, Akhil is asking, is there any particular ownership or permission required to that folder? Actually, if you want to create a new file, or if you want to edit a file in a particular folder, then you should have, the user that you are working with should have permission to that folder. That is anyway mandatory. So those much permission is required. Other than that, for Git as such, separate permissions are not required. You should have read and write permissions. Khyadi is asking, this means demo folder is changed to Git repository. Yes, Khyadi. Now this demo folder is a Git repository. It is a version control system now. It is a repository for that. Okay. Now there is some command called git status, which will tell you the status of git or its status of that particular repository. Okay, so it will say that okay, it is on branch master. So we'll see branching later, but you can understand that master is the default branch name that git gives. Okay, as you can see, there are no commits and nothing to commit. There is no change at all. Pramod is asking where we have to execute git init inside demo folder. Yes, Pramod. I have entered. I cd'd into that demo folder and installed git init inside that folder. Okay. Now let's create a new file. Okay. This is my test file, and I'm naming that file as test.txt. Okay. So now I have one file which is test.txt in this particular folder. Now, if you want to see the content, you can see that file is there. So Umashankar is asking what all these sample files, .sample files do. Umashankar, that we'll come to that. Okay. Or otherwise, I'll just explain. So, see, these are called. Oh no, actually, I'll explain to you later because it will confuse you if I explain to you now. Okay, so Rashmi is asking in Windows, can I install Git? Yes, Rashmi, you can install Git in Windows. Okay, so Umashankar is asking. Okay, Umashankar, I answered. So let's proceed. So I have the file. Now let me execute the git status command once again. As you can see, this file, there is one file called on test.txt and it is in untracked status. Okay, so what is this untracked? We'll see that first. Okay, so before that, now let me come back to some theory. After that, I'll go back. Okay, so now in the case of Git, there are three sections. Okay, first is working directory. Second is staging area. Finally, the third is .git directory or the repository itself. So working directory is where you will be working on, like as a developer or as a user of Git version control, you will be working inside working directory. That is the folder. That is the folder in which you are working. In my case, the demo folder is the working directory. Okay, so that is where you'll be creating files or you'll be updating files within that folder. Okay, so when you pull a Git repository, you will have one folder, one repository, and that repository will act, that particular folder in your local machine will act as the working directory. So Rashmi is asking, so in Windows, how I will execute git init command? Rashmi, after installing the Git software in Windows, you have to install Git Bash, and you can go to Git Bash and then execute the command as such as I am executing. It will work. Okay. Now I told you about Windows directory, working directory. Next is staging area. So whenever you make change, you have to first add those changes to staging area first. Then only it can be moved to the repository. So whenever you make a change to your file, so when you commit changes to your repository, all the changes, all the things that you have saved in the staging area will only go to that repository. So this is like an intermediate area to store the changes. Okay, so there is one working directory, then there is a staging area and repository. Finally, repository is where you have all your changes. That is a final outcome. Okay, so in this during this there can be like a file can be in three states. A file can be in three states. So as I mentioned, in working directly, you modify files in your working tree, then you stage the files, like you save the changes in order to prepare it for commit in the staging area, like adding snapshot of those changes to the staging area. Then you do a commit. When you do a commit, the files that are there, all the changes that are there in the staging area will be stored permanently into the Git repository or Git directory. Is it clear? Now, in this particular thing, a tracked file can be in three states. So Khadi is asking, what is working tree? Working tree is working directory, Khadi. Okay. Now, this a tracked file, a single tracked file can be in 3 states. First is staged. Like initially, before tracking, it will be in untracked state. That is what we saw now. See, when you, I just created the file. So now Git doesn't know that you need to track. Git needs to track that file. That is why when I execute a git status, it is saying that there is one untracked file called test.txt file. So that is the untracked state. Okay, now in order to once you start tracking that file can be in 3 states. First is staged, then committed and modified. So staged means, okay, I'll so committed. What do you mean by committed? Committed means that the data is safely stored in your local database, like it is safely stored in your Git repository. Okay, it will be there for you. You don't have to worry about that change or worry about that file if it is in committed state. Now next is modified state. Modified state means that you have changed the file but have not committed it to your database yet. So you have made changes to the file, but it's not yet staged, or it's not yet saved. So it is still in the working directory. It is not there in the staging area yet. Now, finally, the third stage, which is staged, means that you have marked the modified file in its current version to go into your next commit snapshot. So basically, you start with an untracked file, you modified that file, then you stage that file, and then commit that file. So initially the file will be in untracked state, then it will be in once you modify that file, it will be in modified state, and then when you stage it, it will be in staged state, and once you commit it, it will be in committed state. Is it clear? Okay, Pramod is asking how to create a staging area. That is what we'll be seeing now. Okay, so Nagendra is asking, untracked files are the not saved files. These are just the files which are created. Exactly, Nagendra. So Git has not started keeping track of that file. That is what it is meant by untracked files. Okay, now Akhil is asking, can we modify in staging area? Akhil, that we'll see. Okay, Khyadi is asking why we do all this. This is for version controlling of your files. We'll see why how this is being done. Okay. Sunil Kumar is asking, why staging before commit? We can directly commit right to repo. Sunil Kumar, why we need staging is that, like, staging is like a test phase. Like, if you want to commit only, you need to commit those changes. If you want to make changes, or if you don't want the changes to be saved in your Git repository, then you can undo the staging session and all, staging state and all. So that is why we use staging before commit. Okay. Now, as you can see, this particular file, which is test.txt, is in untracked status. Now, if you want to add this file to the staging state, or to the staging area, then what you will have to do is you have to use git add followed by the file name. Now, what we have done is we have added this particular file into the staging area. Now, can anyone tell me what will happen if I execute the git status command? Can anyone tell me what will happen if I execute the git status now? What will be the state of this test? Mahesh, Khadi, and Prasanth saying staging. Excellent. So now if I execute git status, it will be in, see, staging state. See, changes to be committed. That means it is in staging state. Okay, see the difference. It was earlier untracked. You executed the command git add, and it made Git aware of that particular file, and you are telling Git that, okay, I want to keep track of this particular file. Okay. Now again, can the tracked file be modified after the commit? Again, those things will be clear when after we complete this. Okay. So Pravanshu is asking what is the meaning of DRW. Pravanshu, that is just the permissions, like permission of that particular file and folder. Okay. Now we'll see how to commit. Okay. So now there are multiple ways of doing this. See, now I executed git add test.txt. But if you want to if you want to add all the files or all the txt files in your system in your repository or in your working directory uh, to a staging area, then what you have to do is you have to execute git. You can execute git add star.txt. So this will add all txt files in the present directory into the staging area. Similarly, if you execute git add -a, then irrespective of the extension, it will add all the files to the staging area. Okay, so we will see that. Now we'll see the third stage, which is, what is the final state? Can anyone tell me? Committed. Yes. So now we have our file in staging state. Now in order to commit, what you have to do is we have to execute the command git commit. This is the command that you have to execute in order to push your file to the committed area. Okay, now I am committing. So when you execute commit, you should add a message. Okay, so these are three ways of adding a file to the staging area. This I showed you. Then this also we saw. Now this one we'll see. Okay, now we'll see commit. Okay, so as I mentioned, when you do commit, when you are committing, you should add a message. There are ways to bypass this one, but it is advisable because without adding message, there is no use of having a version control system. So what you can do is here you can give a message for your commit. So here I'll add, okay, added a new test.txt file. Okay, now I made the change. Now see, I have committed my changes sorry, with a message. Okay, now if I do git status, I can see that there is nothing to commit. So whatever was there in the committed state has been, sorry, in the staging state has been committed. Okay, Pramod is asking what is git add -a. Okay, Pramod, see, git add -a is used to add all the files. Like let me create new file like test1.txt. Okay, touch test2.odf, something like that. Okay, now in my system I have three files. Okay, if I do git status, I can see that two files are untracked. So in order to add these files to the staging area, what I can do is git add -a. Earlier I executed git add and the file name, right? Now in this case, if you want to add, you have to execute two commands, two git add commands. Instead of that, what you can do is you give git add -a. Pramod is asking, will all extension example XML files too? Yes, this will work for any text-based file. Okay, so git add -a, when you do, after that, if you check the git status, you can see both the files are added to the staging area. So in order to add all the files to the staging area without specifying each and every file, you can use git add -a. Is it clear? Okay. Now Reza is saying git commit opens a file. Is this something like vEditor? Yes, actually this is using Nano Editor. That is what I mentioned. When you configure that git, as I told you, right, in Mac and Linux, the default editor will be Nano. Like in Mac, the default editor is Nano, so that is why it is opening Nano Editor. But if you have configured some other editor, then it will be opening in that editor. Okay, so touch command you have dot. Okay, touch command is used to create just a file. It is just to create a file in Linux. This is a Linux command to create a file. Okay, so now this is how you can add multiple files to staging. So now commit, there is one more option like git commit -m. Like if you want to give the message inline, then you can use the flag -m followed by the by your comment, like added couple of files with different extensions. Okay, so now I have committed these changes, the changes that are there in the staged area to the repository. Okay, is it clear? So any doubt? So Akhildaj is asking, can we directly commit without staging? Actually, Akhildaj, you can do that. So Khadi is asking, minus M means minus M is a flag for adding message. Okay, instead of having an editor open and you type and save that file, instead of that, what you save that message, what you can do is you can use minus M. Nabindu is asking, what is a create mode? Nabindu, I'm not sure what you meant by create mode. So Naginda is asking, is that a comment in double quotes? Yes, we are adding the message inside double quotes. Nabindu is saying, I saw it in the command prompt. Nabindu, I am still not clear. What do you mean by create mode and you saw it in the command prompt? Okay, so Khadi, why message is essentially in commit command? Khadi, we'll see, we'll come to that. Okay, so now let me add one more file, test3.xml, let's say. Okay, so git add minus a. So instead of that, what you can do is git commit minus a minus m, then added the XML file. To commit, one minute. Minus a minus m, added file, nothing added to commit but untracked files. Okay, okay, so like this thing you can only do after adding it to the staging. Like it should be a tracked file if for it to work. So Nabindu says create mode 10100644. That is permission, Nabindu. That is permission. Okay. Now what you have to do is, first you have to do git add minus a. So now this is a tracked file. Okay, so what we can do is, now let me edit the file, echo adding a new line, and I am adding this file to test1.txt. Okay, now if I do cat test1.txt, I can see adding a new file. Okay, so within this asking what is minus a used for, within the will come to that. Okay, now if you go to git status, you can see that you have one file which is test3.xml in the staging area, and you have one modified file, test1.txt file. Now if you want to commit this file, now this modified status of this test1.txt is not in staging state, it is in modified state, right? So if you want to bypass the staging state and directly commit this particular file, this particular change, then what you can do is you can execute the command git commit minus a. Minus a is to denote all the files. It is like git add minus a. You can use minus small a also. Okay, that it denotes that one. So git add commit minus a followed by the message minus m, and like added a new file and change a file. Okay, now see, without adding this change, and if I execute git status now, you can see there is nothing to commit, because without changing this to staging state, without pushing this to staging state, we have directly committed the change. Okay, so clear? So Khadi is saying screen sharing is blocked. Does anyone else have an issue? Can all of you see my screen? Okay, Khyati, others are able to see my screen, so please, there should be some setting issue in your end. Okay, please check that on. Okay, so now did you understand how you can commit without how you can commit a change without making it to into staging? Is it clear? Only thing is the file should be a tracked file. Okay, now let's proceed. Now if you want to now I have committed say 2 times, right? 2 or 3 times I committed. So Nagendra is asking, git commit minus a is to changing the files from untracked to tracked without going any step by step process like staging modify commit. No, Nagendra, what git commit minus a is does is it will bypass the staging area. It will directly take a modified file from modified state to committed state. It will bypass staging area for that particular file or those files that are modified. Is it clear? Sunil Kumar is asking, can we revert back changes in previous? Those things we'll see, Sunil Kumar. Okay. Okay, good. Now I have committed multiple changes, right? Like multiple things that I have committed. Now, how to see that and why have we specified messages in that commit? For what you can do is you can execute the command git log, and you can see all the commits that you have done. Okay, see here, this is where author and email address, all this comes, all these things are used in here. So now if someone else is looking into my this particular log, they can see what are the changes made in each state or each step, and they will also know that who made that change. Is it clear? Now see, they can say that, okay, first commit, Abhijit is the one that who made the change, and what he did is he added a new test.txt file. During the second commit, Abhijit is the one who made the change, and he added a couple of files with different extensions. Similarly, with third commit. See, this is the use of having a message. That message will be displayed here, and having an author which will be displayed here. This is for accountability. Now, anyone who sees this repository will know who made the change or who made the commit and what are the changes made during that commit. Is it clear? I hope I answered your question. Someone asked why we need message and why we need that username and all. Is it clear now? Any doubt in this one? Can you please respond? Okay, good. Kathy is asking, can you please explain uh, last step before log? Okay. Okay. So, Kathy, what I told is, see, if you use git commit minus a, what this does is it will directly take a modified file from modified state to committed state without going through staging state. Like normally, as normal procedure, what you will be doing is a modified file. First, you will use git add minus a and add it to a staging area, and then only you will be committing, right? But if you want to bypass that, adding that modified file to staging area, then what you can use, you can execute git command commit minus a followed by minus a. Is it clear? So Fritz is asking, why is it not showing the files committed? Fritz, it won't by default show the files committed. So Jasmine is asking, what does headmaster symbolize here? Those things will come in the upcoming part of the session. Okay. So Kathy is asking which one is better, like git commit minus a or using git add and commit. I would suggest using git add minus a and then do commit, because that is the standard procedure. In that way, if you want to undo your changes and all, you can use that. But we'll see how to do that and all. Okay. Now, if you go to there is something called git log minus minus state. Using the minus minus state flag, what you can see is you can see the files that are added. I hope this answered your question, Fritz. If you execute the command git log minus minus state, it will show you the files like, okay, this has added one file change, one insertion. Then the second thing, it has added two files changed. Then the third commit, it has added one file and modified another file. Sorry, modified another file, two files changed, one insertion, like one file is added and one is modified. Like that, you will be able to see the details. Is it clear, Fritz? Okay. So Akhil is asking, what are the risk of directly committing without staging in case of duplicate files? Akhil, I'm not sure I understand your question, but I think your question will be answered when we proceed with the session. Okay, Kyadi is asking, one insertion means. One insertion means it is creation of new file. Like one new file is inserted into the Git repository database. Is it clear, Kyadi? Test three. Kyadi is asking test three. Yes, in this particular case, test3.xml is the new file that is inserted. Okay, in this case, test.txt is the new file that is inserted. Okay, so now, no, this insertion means changes. Okay, okay. So now, let's proceed with this session. Okay, now, before proceeding with today's session, let's have a break. Let's have a 15 minutes break. Now it's 8:12, and we'll be back by 8:27. Okay. Hello, welcome back everyone. Can all of you hear me well and see my screen? Okay, good. So let's proceed with the thing. I want to show you one more thing in between, like git reset. Let's see what git reset command is. Okay, now let's see what is the content of my test.txt file. So test.txt file content is this one. Okay, and if I do git status, I can say that it is in committed status, committed state. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change, edit this file, edit this test.txt file. Okay, so here adding this line which is out. Okay, adding this line which is the correct one. Okay, so what I did is I added this file. Okay, I added this line to the file. Okay, Khyadi, we are only starting. So what I did is I just added this particular line to the file. Okay, now I'm going to add git add -a and I am adding it to the staging area. Okay, now if I execute git status, you can see that this file is in the staging area. Okay, now let's say I'm going to edit that file once again. Okay, now added this line which I don't need. Okay, so now I made change to my file. Okay, this is just an example. Okay, so now it has 3 lines, and if you go do git status, you can see the status is modified. Now what if I don't want the last change that I made? I don't want this particular line. Then what I can do is I can get the latest file. I can get the latest file from my staging area. Okay, so now if I want my changes till the staged file, like till this point, what I can do is I can use the command git reset followed by that file name. Okay, now if I do git status, I can see it is in modified state, and if I do the content of that file, unchanged changes after reset. One minute. Okay, so in this one, like now, if what it does is, see, it removed this particular file from the staging area. So now this particular file is not at all there in the staging area. All the changes that you have saved in the staging area, like you have saved till a particular point in the staging area, right? So that one will be removed. So how this helps is, like, instead of having two commit for the same file, you can make it into a single commit. That is why that is the use of git reset command. Okay, so git reset, it is to undo the check-in, like unstage changes from the staging area. Okay, now let's see checkout. There is one more thing that we can do now. As you know, this was my original file. I added these 2 lines extra. Now what if I want to undo these 2 lines and get the original file from uh, my commit, my last commit? Then what you can do is you can execute the command git checkout followed by the file name. Okay, now if you do git status, there is nothing to commit. This one will be replaced, and if you check the content of that txt file, you can see it has reverted back to my last committed file. So this is how you can use version control system. See, now in this case, see, you know that, okay, this particular file is like, this is the line that I want in this particular file. These lines I added by mistake. So in order for you to, like, instead of you going back to that file and removing, identifying which and all that I edited, and then removing that thing, what you can do is you can directly check out that particular file from the last commit and get the last saved state. So these are various things that you can do with the help of version control system. Okay, but please remember that this is an one-way thing. You won't be able to get back these changes now at all. You don't have any record of these changes now. Okay, so when you do git checkout minus minus followed by the file name, please be sure that you want the using the same terminal. So I'm not sure what your question is. Okay, so can all of you hear me? Can you please confirm? Okay, some are not able to hear me. Okay, so there is one more question, I think. Let me check. Okay, someone asked what is the use of git reset command. Okay, now git reset, like let's create a new file. Echo say testing one. So I'm creating a testing one.txt file. Okay, now I'll add this to add this to staging. Okay, so now if you go to git status, you can see that this particular file is in staging state. Okay, now what if I want to unstage that one? I don't want to save this file with just only one line. I want to have I want to save it only after having say 2 lines, after adding 2 lines. So then what you can do is you can do git reset and give the file name, and it will be removed from staging state to modified state. Now if we go to git status, it will be in track because this is a first state. Like now this is the first time that we are doing, that is why it is become untracked. Like from untracked you went to staging, so when I reset it went back to untracked status. Okay, so now if I do git add minus a, and I'll do git, now I'll add one more line to the thing, like line 2 to the same file, like testing1.txt. Okay, now this is the file content. You have just 2 lines, but if you go to git status, it is still, see, one particular file, one particular state is in staging, and this is in modified state. Okay, now what if you do git reset followed by the file name, what will happen is now there won't be anything in the state. If you do git status, you can see it is still in the untracked. Like all these things that are made in the staging state, it will be removed. So you can remove a file from the staging area to its previous state, or from staging stage state to its previous state using git reset. That's it. You just need to understand like that. So using git reset, you will be able to convert the state of a file from state to the state it was before. It can be untracked or it can be modified. Okay, now this one we saw. Next thing is Pramod is asking, checkout minus minus is same as reset. No, Pramod, checkout is to get the data from the committed state. To get the to restore the file from the committed state is what we use checkout minus minus for. But reset is just to unstage the file. Is it clear, Pramod? It's not clear. Okay, see, Pramod, when I executed this, see, git checkout. See, when I executed this git checkout, before that, this was the content of my file. Okay, after git checkout, the content of my file is this, because what it did is it replaced it. It got the changes. It got my original file that I have committed. I have that is there in my commit, last commit, and replace this file, replace the content of the current file with that old content. Is it clear, Pramod? That is what checkout minus minus does. Okay, Sunil Kumar is asking if we unstage still the changes in our local. See, Sunil Kumar, at this point we are only working in our local machine. There is no server involved at this point. Okay, now this is my repo. This is our repository, and we are working in that repository. Okay, so there is no server or online repository at the moment. This is my local repository. So Akhil is asking, so in staging stage, if you reset, the last modification will be there in file or the original file will be there. If you reset, your changes will be there. There it is not the original file. All the changes that you made, the only thing is, if it is there in the stage state, it will be removed from stage state to the state it was there earlier. It can be modified or untracked state. Okay. Okay, good. Now, Shadi is asking difference between reset and checkout. Can you show reset demo again? Okay, let me do one thing. Let me create, sorry, for reset demo. I'm creating a new file called reset.txt. Okay, I'm adding it to staging. Okay, now I'm committing this change. Git commit -m added the reset file. Okay, so this much is clear. Now I created a file. I added one line, and then I committed that change. Okay, now let's say I am going to edit that file. Okay, so let's do nano reset, making this change. Okay, now I made the change. Now the content of this particular file is making this change. Okay, now if you do git status, sorry, git status, you can see the file is in modified state. Okay, now once the file is in modified state, if you want to add it to staging, you can do git add -a. Now if you do git status, once again you can see it is in modified state, but it is staged. See, this one it was not staged, but now it is staged to and ready to be committed. Okay, so now this is in stage state, and I am still going to edit the reset file. Sorry, I am going to edit the reset file, and here I'm going to add second change. Okay, now in this case, if you go to this content of this particular file, sorry, if you go to content of this file, I have made changes to the same file. There is no significance of having two commits for this particular change, right? So what I can do is, I can, if you want to unset, like what I can do is, if you do git reset.txt file, then what it will do is, it will change from the stage state to back to the modified, no, back to not stage state. Now if I execute this git reset, sorry, git status, you can see that it is in not stage state. So what git reset does is, it just removes the file from stage state to the unstaged state. That is what git reset does. Is it clear? Okay, now see, now the content of this reset file is this one. Okay, but the reset file that we originally committed only had this much, right? So what if I want to get that file back? I want to undo these changes. Then what I can do is, I can do git checkout -- followed by the file name, which is the reset.txt. Now if I do git sorry, cat reset.txt, I can see I got the original file without my changes. That is what git checkout -- is used for. Rishmi is asking reset can be done at staging stage and not when committed. Exactly, Rishmi. Okay, so is it clear the difference between reset and checkout? Okay, good. Now this one we saw. Now we are going to. Shadi is asking git minus add. What do you mean by git minus add? Git hyphen add. Sorry, git hyphen add. What do you mean by git hyphen add? No, what do you mean by that one? Where did you get that git hyphen add? Shadi. So Akli is asking git checkout will always come from commit. Yes, git checkout minus minus if you use it will always come from the last commit. But you can also give like let me add one more thing. Nano reset.txt added this line in the second commit. Okay, now let me push the change. Git commit -m added new line to reset.txt. Okay, now I have two versions of file in my commit for this reset. During my first commit, this was the content of the file. During my second commit, this is the content of the file. This is the second of the content of the file for my second commit. So what if, like now, if I edit this file, adding something. Okay, what now? If I do the content, sorry, reset. This is the content of the file. So if I do git checkout minus minus followed by reset, I'll get this particular change, right? I'll get these two lines. So if I do this reset, I'll get those two lines. So what if I want to get the original change, like original file with only one line? Then what you can do is you can go to git log and see this is the file. This is a position where I added that file with one line. So I can copy this commit ID, and here in this checkout, in this checkout before minus minus, you can give that commit ID space minus minus and followed by the reset.txt. Now if I go to this cat reset, it only has the first line. So this is how you can get or you can restore files from any particular checkout or any particular commit. Okay. Umachang is asking if you are not doing reset directly, we are entering checkout, what it will do. Then you won't be able to. Only way that you can get the file back or get the changes. Like, see, this reset is only to convert the state from staged to unstaged. That is the only use of reset. You only need to understand that much. Okay. Okay, so let's proceed with branching. So this is an important topic in Git, which is branching. A branch in Git is simply a lightweight movable pointer to one of the commits. So in the case like someone asked what this head and master meant when I showed you this Git log, someone asked what this head and master meant. See, these are just pointers. So Sunil Kumar is asking, can we reset committed stages? Committed stages? No. Once you commit, those things will be saved. But if you want to get the file back, you can do that. If you want to change the file and resave, then you can do. But you won't be you won't need to remove. You won't be able to remove a commit. Okay. So Khadi is asking, what is the difference between unstaged and untracked? See, unstaged, what I meant is not in staged state. It can be modified, it can be untracked state, or it can be in committed state. Okay, by unstaged, what I meant is the file can be either in untracked state or in modified state. Okay, now let's come back. As I was saying, this head, master, all these are lightweight movable pointer to one of the commits. So lightweight movable pointers in Git is called is are these head and master. Okay, a branch in Git is simply a lightweight movable pointer to one of the commits. So in this case, master is the branch. Okay, so what you have to identify is, remember, each commit is sequential. Okay, each and every commit that you make, it is sequential. Like when you make a commit, the next commit will be on top of the previous commit. Only the changes will be saved by Git. Okay, then the default branch name in Git is master. Every time you commit, it moves forward automatically. Now let's see this Git log. If I do, you can see this head or this pointer, head master pointer, is in this particular commit area, right? Now if I'll add this dummy.txt, I'm just adding one file, then I'm doing git add -a git commit -m and add one dummy file. Okay, so now if you go to git log, see this head, earlier it was in this commit ending with the da25f. See, it was pointing to this particular commit. Now it has moved to the latest commit. So that is what meant by every time you commit, it moves forward automatically. So this header pointer, it will move forward. It will always point to the latest change, latest commit. Okay. Now if you want to create a new branch, like this is similar to tagging, like when you are doing some tagging to your code or code and all, you'll be adding just one name or one pointer to that thing, right? Khyadi, git Khyadi, see git minus add, see git add -a, this is to uh, add the files that are in the current working directory or current folder to staging. That is the purpose of executing this command. Okay, is it clear, Khyadi? Whatever changes that you make, if you create a new file or if you modify a file, if you want to move that file to staging state, then you have to execute this command. Okay. Okay. Now let's see how to create a new branch. Okay, so before that, I want to show you something. So now you saw this git log, right? Git log, you can add different flags. Like if you do git log minus minus online minus decorate minus all. Okay, so if you execute like this, so sorry, not on online, it's one line. Okay, so if you execute this command like this, then you will get a shortened version with colors and all. Okay, so now you can see that your head is pointing to this one, and it is the master branch. So Vivek is asking, what is the use of branching? Okay, so now the use of branching is like when multiple people are working, like when you have a code and you know that okay, this particular code is working with production. Okay, so now you are going to make changes to that code. Then what you can do is we can create a branch from that particular point of time. Okay, and you can work on that branch, and finally once you're satisfied with the changes, you can merge that branch back to the original branch. Then only you can go for production deployment, because that is the tested code, something like that. So basically you can use branching to create a different version or split the current flow of the code or current repository into two, somewhat like. So when I show you the example at that time, it will be clear to you. Okay, so Akhil asking, will git log show what content all was changed? Akhil, as I showed you earlier, using that minus state flag, it will show you what are the files that are changed. Okay, my name is asking, can you explain head and master? Okay, so see, these are just pointers. See, head and master, these are just pointers. So it will point to a particular commit. Okay, so here master is the branch name, which is the default branch name given by Git, and head is just a pointer. Okay, this head will always point to where the current thing is. Like, I'll show you, that will be clear when I show you the branching. So please wait for say 2 minutes. Okay, after that it will be clear to you. Okay, so let me show you the branching. So what I'll do is I'll just cd out of this one. I'll create a new folder so that it will be clear to you. Demo folder 2 or demo folder 1. Okay, I am seeding into this demo folder 1. Then I am going to initiate git here. Okay, now this is an empty git repository. Okay, so I am going to create a new file. Creating file named file1.txt. Okay, I'm creating one file named file1.txt. Okay, I'm adding the file git add git status. If you see, it will be in it will be in staging state. Okay, now I am going to add new line to the file. Added second line. Okay, so now if you check the content of this file, it has 2 lines. Okay, now if you use git status, you can see it is in modified state and one change is there in committed, staging state. Now I'm going to commit this change. So I'll just bypass adding to staging, commit using -a, I'll bypass it. So added second line to file1.txt. Okay, so now I have one file. It has 2 lines in it. Okay, and that is the content of my repository, and that I have committed. Okay, now if you execute this git log one line decorate, sorry, I'll do one more thing. I'll add one more parameter. I'll use graph also. It will give you a graphical representation. Okay, so you can see that there is only one line or one commit, and head and master is pointing to the same line. Okay, or same commit. Okay, now what I am going to do is I'm going to create a new file, like adding file to file2.txt file. Okay, now I have 2 files. I am committing this change, going to commit this change. Git add -ls, add this, then git commit -m added file 2. Okay, so now I have 2 files in my system, and I have made 2 commits. Okay, see, now when I added the second commit, these pointers like head and master has moved from the first commit to the second commit. So this will always point to the latest commit. These two are the same point because now we are working on master branch. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, if I want to create a new branch at this point or from this point, what I can do is I can execute the command git branch, and I'll give the branch name as testing. Shall is saying so it moves up to latest commit. Yes, it will move up to latest commit. Okay, now I'm going to add a new branch. Then branch name I am giving it as testing. Okay, now if I execute this one, you can see that it has added one more branch named testing, and all these things like master branch, testing, and head are pointing to the same commit. Is it clear till this point? Okay, now what I am going to do is I am going to create a new file called testing file. Okay, so I'm going to create this is the testing file. Okay, I'm creating testing.txt file. Okay, so I'll do git add -a, git commit -m added first commit in the testing branch. Okay, see, now we are in the testing. We created a new testing branch. So when you execute this one, you are in that testing branch. Okay, now I have committed my change. If I execute this log, you can see I have created a branch, but still I am in the master branch, right? So when I created the new commit, my master branch has moved ahead, like head and master pointer has moved ahead, but testing it stayed there. So what we did is we created a new branch from that testing. From this particular commit, we have created a new branch. So now what if you want to go to that particular branch? Then what you can do is you can execute the command git checkout followed by the branch name. In this case, testing. Now you can see it is switched to branch testing. Okay, now if you execute the same thing, what you can see this head, it has moved to this commit. See, that is the reason why I told you that head always points to the latest commit in the current branch. Okay, so now the branch you are working on is testing, and head also point to the testing branch, but the latest commit that you have made, it is there in the master branch. Is it clear? Okay, good. Now what if, like, let me create adding the actual uh, file to testing branch. Okay, so testing file.txt. Okay, now I'll use git add -a git commit -m adding to testing branch. Okay, now if you do this, you can see that from this point, from this second thing, from this second commit, it has branched to two branches. This particular repository has branched to two branches. First one is the master, and second one is this one. Second one is a testing branch. Now what you will see is, in order to show you the difference, what I'll do is I'll do one thing. I'll check out this master branch first. Okay, so git checkout master in order to show you the difference. So I'll be executing the same steps once again, but you will feel the difference in this particular case. Okay, so I'll execute git checkout master. So now I am in master branch. Is it clear? So now my head is pointing to the master branch. Okay, now I'm going to create a new file, like echo new file, and the file name is new file.txt. Okay, I created a new file, and I am adding git add -a git commit -m added new file to master branch. Okay, now if I execute this, you can see that my master is here. It is where I am in, and the head is pointing to this latest commit. Okay, so can all of you hear me? Can you please confirm? Yes, it looks like others are able to hear me. Okay, now let's proceed. As you can see, I created a new file called say new file in the master branch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new branch from this point. Okay, please listen carefully. Okay, I'm going to create a new branch from this point. So I'll execute the command git branch, say what should I name the branch? Like dummy branch. I'll just give the name as dummy branch. Okay, so now if you see, you can see like two branches are there, but we are still in the master branch. Okay, so now I'm the master branch, and the content of my new file is new file. Okay, now I am going to check out, git checkout the dummy branch. Sorry, checkout dummy branch. Okay, now I am inside dummy branch. The content of this file is still the same, which is new file. Okay, if I execute this, you can see that I am in dummy branch. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the file, edit this new file. So added this line only on the dummy branch. Okay, now this is the content of the file in the dummy branch. Okay, now let's commit. Added line to new file in dummy branch. Okay, now if you execute this, your dummy branch is here, which is this latest commit, and our master branch is here. So now I am still in dummy branch, and if I execute this cat new file, you can see 2 lines. Now what if I am to check out this master branch? So git checkout master branch. Okay, now I am in master branch. Now I am in master branch. Head is pointing to master branch. So now can anyone tell me what will be the content of this new file in this master branch? Pramod is saying only first line. Anyone else? First, Prashant is saying first line. One without added line. Firoz is saying exactly. So now, if you execute this cat new file, you can see that it only has that file. So now these two branches, even though the file is same, these two branches will have different content. So you will be able to keep track of the file separately through these branches. So this branch will now work independently, and this branch will work separately. Is it clear? This is how you can create branches, and this is how you can work with branches. Okay. Now you saw this branching. Like there is some question. Afsana is asking why head point to master and dummy both. See, in the first case, when we created a branch at that time, both the branches are in the same commit. That is why it is pointing to both the branches. But after you add a new commit, after you checked out the uh, dummy branch and made a new commit, head is pointing to that branch. So wherever the head is, that is the branch that you are working on. So Rashmi is asking now how to see the file and content of dummy branch. For that, what you have to do is you have to go to git checkout dummy branch. Now we are inside dummy branch, and you can use get new file, and you can get the file inside the dummy branch. This is how you can do that. Rashmi. Okay, Akhil is asking, does head move after both commit and checkout? Yes, yes. Actually, see, when you execute commit, head will always point to the latest commit in the current branch, right? So that is why head is moving at that time. But when you do checkout, what is happening is it will change the branch. Like it will be pointing maybe to different commit. That is why head is pointing to that commit, because you are editing from that point of time. Like you are editing the files from that commit onwards, right? That is why head always points to the stage where you have last saved the thing in the current branch. Okay, so Pramod is asking, if there are two branches, master and test, and you create new branch dummy, now dummy will be created from master branch or test branch. How to manage that? See, that thing you will have to manage. Like if you want to create a branch from master branch, then you will have to do that. If you want to create a branch from testing branch, then you will have to do that. See, now what we did is we created from master branch. That is why dummy is coming here. If you create it from testing branch, then it will be in line with this testing branch. So Pramod is asking how to do that. Okay, now let's create, let's check out this testing branch. Okay, now I am inside testing branch, and if I execute this, you can say that my head is pointing to the testing branch. Okay, now I'm going to create a new branch in here. Git branch new test branch. Okay, now if I do this, I can see that this is the new test branch, and I am going to check out this new test branch. Okay, now I am here. Okay, now I'm going to create a new file. Okay, sorry, I use echo created inside new test branch. Okay, new test branch dot txt. Okay, now if I go to before that, I'll just commit git add minus a git commit minus m and a new test file new test branch. Okay, now if I go to this one, you can see this new test branch is coming from the testing branch. See, now this master and dummy branch are separated. They are going in a different track, but this is going in a different track. See, now this is coming, this new test branch is coming from the testing branch. So Pramod is asking, okay, so whichever branch head is pointing to, new branch will be created from that branch. Yes. So whichever branch that you are working on, if you execute git branch command, it will create a new branch from that particular commit. Okay, good. Now this one we saw, this one also we saw, this branching we saw. See, this is what I meant. So if you create a new branch and make a new commit, then it will go to the pointer will move to that point. So Smriti is asking, is there any other way to know which branch are you in except using git log minus minus online? No, unless you use git log, you won't be able to know which branch you are in. That is the purpose of having commands like git log. Apart from having for accountability, this is another purpose of having git log command or using git log command. Okay, git log. This also we saw branching. Then git status we saw. Now we'll see git diff. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, let me come back out of this. Let me create a new directory, demo folder 2. I'm going to this demo folder. I am doing this because in order to not confuse you. Okay, so cd dot cd space demo folder 2. Okay, now I am in demo folder 2. It's an empty folder. Then I am going to initialize git. So it will create the .git folder. Now we are going to see this diff command. Okay, so for that, let me create a new file. Line 1 added here. Okay, line.txt file. Okay, git add minus a git commit minus m added a line to line.txt file. Okay, now if I go to git status, you can see there is nothing to commit. Now I have committed everything. Okay, now I'm going to edit that file, like nano line.txt file. I'm going to edit, adding line 2 here. Okay, now if you do git status, you will see that this file is modified. Now if you want to know what is the difference between this particular file and the file that you have already committed, what you can do is you can use the command git diff. So see, it will show you that, okay, line one see, this is the change. You have added this file, so the file that is there in the present working directory or the working directory has one more additional line compared to the last commit. Is it clear? Is the use of git diff command clear to all of you? So now this asking, can you explain the output of git log minus slashes, use of this, and what do they denote? I'm not sure what you meant by slashes. Do you mean this minus minus this one? These are flags. So this flag will tell you that, okay, I want only to show the git log in a single line. This one will show it. I want to decorate. I want to show a graph line. That is why you are getting these lines and all, because I enable graph. Minus minus all means it will show all branches. Okay. Now this, what do you mean by pipe? I don't understand. What do you mean by pipe? You mean this pipe? Is this what you meant? Now was it? Okay. Now it wants me to run git log command. Okay, I execute the git log command. Portion is saying not understand git diff. Portion will come to that. Okay, let me clarify now this doubt first. Nabindu, we will come to git diff once again. Okay. Now I executed this git log command. What do you want to know? So I'll execute git log as well without those things. Okay. Now what do you want to know? In older git repo, I saw slashes in repo. That is what Navodis meant. I'm not sure what they mean. See, this is the older git log. Where do you see slash in this one? Navodis. Not slash pipe, but or slash. I don't know what it meant. Actually, now there is no slash. If you are talking about this, then it is to denote branching. Okay. So if you still have the doubt, please email me and I'll get back. Okay. So let's proceed with git diff. Now, see, if you do git status, okay. So if you do git status, you can see that one more file has modified from my last commit. Like in my original commit, this was like I had only one line one added here. That was my original content of this particular file, right? So when you execute git status, it will show you that, okay, that file has been modified, but it won't show you what is the change. So if you want to see that change, what you can do is you can execute the git diff command. Git diff command will show you the change in the file, change in the content of that file or content of files from the last commit to the current state of that file. Is it clear? Now, if you execute, this is similar to executing like this, git diff line.txt. This is same as git diff. If you have multiple lines, it will show changes in multiple files. Is it clear? Git diff, is it clear to all of you? Okay, good. Now I am going to commit this change. Okay, so git add -a, git commit -m, and I am adding, so added second line to line.txt. Okay, now I have two commits. One is my first one, added one line, and second one is the second line. Now let's say I'm going to edit my file. So line.txt I'm going to edit, adding line 3 here. Okay. So Prashant is Akhil is asking, so there should be one commit for git diff to work. Yes, Akhil, there should be at least one commit for git diff to work. So Prashant is asking, git diff will display the changes for all the files present in the current directory. Yes, Prashant, it will. We will see that. I'll show you that. So before that, now I have two commits. I have edited my file. This is my current file content. Now, if you want to get like, I'll execute this to get this short. Current file, current line.txt content, and this original commit, then what you can do is you can execute the command git diff followed by this commit id -- followed by the file name, which is this line.txt. See, now it will show that compared to first commit, there are two added lines. Okay, now if you want to get the difference between the second commit and the current status, then what you can do is you can change this commit ID to the second commit, and it will show you that only one line has changed compared to the second commit. Is it clear? Is this difference clear to all of you? No, Smriti is saying no. Okay. See, Smriti, this is the current file. This is the current content of my file, which is this line.txt. The content of this line.txt, it has 3 files. That is the current status of my file. Okay. But during my initial commit, I added only one line. Only this line was there. Line 1 added here. Only this line was there. Okay. So when I compared that commit, with the current status, then I got the result that there are 2 lines extra in the current state compared to the original commit. Because see, in the second commit only we added the second line, right? And now only we added the third line. So initial commit, there was only one line. So difference between initial file, the initial commits line.txt and the current line.txt is 2 added lines. That is what is being displayed here. So Nabindu is asking what is TuneIn. This is the commit ID. See, this is the commit ID. I executed git log and I got the ID as commit ID. This is the commit ID. So you have to use the commit ID to which you want to compare the file with. Okay, similarly, I use the second commit, and the difference in this line.txt from the second commit and the current state is one line, only one line, because in the second commit I added 2 lines. After the second commit, line.txt had 2 lines instead of it, adding the line 2 here. These 2 were there during the second commit. So only difference is this line now. That is what it is displaying here. This is the use of git diff. Okay, now someone asked, what if there are multiple files? Okay, so let's see what they're doing. So line 2 added here. Okay, so I'll create a new file, line2.txt. Okay, git add -a, git commit -a, adding line 2 with single line. Okay, now if you, here we have saved line and line 2. Okay, now if you do git status, everything is synced. So Kathy is asking what is green line used for. Kathy, green line is showing the difference. If it is a new line, if it is an addition, then it will come in green. If it is if you remove a line, then it will come in red. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll edit both the files. I'll edit line.txt and I'm adding line 4 here. Okay, now I'm going to edit line 2.txt, adding the second line here. Okay, now the content of my line.txt is this, and the content of my line 2.txt is this. Okay, now if I do git diff, it will show you the changes in 2 files. See, it will show you line and line 2. Now if I only want to show the difference in line 2, then I can execute like this, git diff line 2, and it will only show that line 2 difference. Is it clear? Is it clear, Prashant? I think you asked the question regarding multiple files. Is it clear now? Okay, good. Now there is one more thing that I want to show you. Okay, now if you do git status, these are in modified state. Let's first add it to staging state. Okay, git add -a. Now I have added these changes to my staging state. Now what if you want to compare this file in the staging area with that of the last commit? Then what you can do is you can execute the command git diff ---- cached. Then it will compare the staging state. Like, let me to And not to clarify, let me change the content. Okay, this is not there in staging. Okay, so I have modified that one. Nano line 2. This also is not there in staging. Okay, so now the content of my file is line.txt, this one, and line2.txt is this one. Okay, if you go to git status, you can see I have a set in staging area and I have one set in modified area. Okay, so now in this case, so present is saying my display is lagging. Prashant, I think others are able to see that well. Maybe there is some issue with connection. Okay. Anyway, I'll slow down so that it will be more in sync. Okay. Now let me proceed. So as you can see, I have the file, this line.txt file, both in modified state and also in staged state. So these are unstaged changes. So Firoz is asking what is the difference between stage and unstaged? So stage means the status of that file is staged. So you have readied that file for commit. So when you commit, whatever that is there in the staged state will only be committed. But unstaged means only after making it to staging, it will be eligible for commit. Unless you make it into staged state, it won't be eligible for commit. Is it clear, Firoz? Okay, good. Now, as I told you, I have these two files in both unstaged and staged state. Okay. Now, if I execute the command git diff minus minus cached, or you can always use minus minus staged. Both will give you the same result. Okay. Git diff minus minus staged, and I'll only try to execute for line 2, line.txt. Okay. If I execute this one, you can see it is only saying one line is different. To show you the difference, I'll just remove this, and here see the difference. It will compare that with the commit. Like if you are not using the commit ID, then it will be using the stage state. So it will compare the staged and the present working file. But if you use minus minus staged, then it will be comparing the staged file with the last commit. Is it clear? So that is the use of git diff. So if you use git diff minus minus staged or minus minus cached, then it will compare the staged and the last committed changes, unless you specify the commit ID. If you specify a commit ID, then it will be comparing with that commit. But if you execute git diff without minus minus cached or minus minus staged flag, then it will compare staged and unstaged changes. That is the difference. Okay, so these are the various flags that you can use along with git log. So some of them I showed you. This you can experiment on your own. Now we are going to see how to work with remote files. Okay, so in order to get the content, so Khyadi is asking staged and cached are same in GitDiff. Yes, Khyadi, staged and cached have the same output in the case of GitDiff. Okay, now what we are going to do is we will see how to pull changes like online repositories, remote repositories, how to pull, we will see. Okay, so let me go back. Okay, now as you can see, there is no folder named Git or something in this one. So this is a third-party Git. I'm just using this Git repo. I'm just using this as an example. Okay, so this one, if you want to clone a particular remote repository, then what you have to do is you have to execute the command git clone. This is the clone is the command that you use to get clone a repository to your local machine. Portion is asking when we have to use staged and cached. Portion, you can use both staged and cached. It has the same functionality. Okay, so now my git repository is cloned. So if I do ls again, you can see one folder has come and this is the git repository. Okay, so let's cd into that one. And if I do ls minus la, you can see it has got .git folder and it has got these files and all. Okay, Fritz is asking what are you cloning? I'm just cloning a remote repository, Fritz. I just want to show you how to clone a remote repository. Okay, so this repository is in GitHub. I'm cloning that repository. Now I have the same repository that is there in GitHub on my local machine. I have a copy of the repository in my local machine when I did clone. This is how you can get a copy of a repository, remote repository in your local machine using the git clone command. Okay, now there is something called git remote. If you execute this git remote, you will see what are the remote or what are the URLs that what are the remote. Remote means what is the origin of this particular or where it is saved. Fritz is asking, did you download it first when we did not see? No, see, I executed this git clone and it automatically cloned. It downloaded all these files when I executed this command. I didn't do it beforehand because that folder was not there beforehand. So Smriti is asking, we are making changes in files. How is it done in real-time projects? See, real-time projects, instead of this TXT files, it will be your code files like PHP file or Java file. So whatever changes that you make, you can save and control that versioning. So Kathy is asking, what is git clone used for? Git clone is to clone a remote repository. Now I have a copy of this particular repository in this particular location in my local machine. Okay, now if you execute the command git remote -v, it will show you that okay, there is one remote named origin and it is using this particular URL. So this is the URL used to clone this particular repository, and this is the by default origin is the remote that git uses. Okay, so this is the default remote which is named as origin, and it is pointing to this one. Like this is like a symlink. Like instead of typing this entire URL, you can use this origin. This is just like that. Okay, now if you want to add a new remote, then what you can do is you can use the command git remote git remote add. Git remote -v is to see the list of remotes. Kathy is asking, please explain clone steps again. Kathy, we'll see that. Let me finish explaining this one. Okay. Fritz is asking, my screen is lagging. Fritz, okay, I'll try to reduce my speed again so that it will be in sync. Okay, so now git remote -v, it will show you the list of remotes that are there. And if you want to add a new remote, then what you can do is you can execute the command git remote add followed by the name. Like instead of origin, what do you want to use? Like in this case, I'm going to use pb and the git URL, the repo URL. Okay, now after this, if you execute the command git remote -v, then you will see that this remote also is added. So this is how you can add new remote to your git repository. Okay, now if I go to git log, I'll use the decorated, I'll use git log minus online minus decorate minus yeah minus all. See, you can see there are a lot of changes that repository. This is just a sample repository, so no need to worry about this. There are a lot of commits that are there in that particular repository. So Pramod is asking, please explain Git remote again. Okay, before that, let me show you something. Let me go to Git repository. So GitHub. So during that time, I'll explain this one. So if you want to get a copy of an existing Git repository, you can use that Git URL. We'll see what that is. But before that, I'll tell you how to create a GitHub account online. So it is very important, because as DevOps professionals or as DevOps professionals, you should have a Git account, because then only you will be able to share your, like, if you have any issue and that issue you want to share with me, then what you can do is you can add your code in the Git repo, add your output also in the Git repository, and send that link to me, and I'll be able to see the thing. So it is important to have a GitHub account. So what you can do is you can go to this website like github.com and create an account. Okay, so once you create an account, you'll get an interface like this, and here I'll show you how to create a new repository. Okay, so you can click either this new repository. Now I am inside my GitHub account, and you can either click this new repository, or you can use this plus button. You can click this plus button and click this new repository. Okay, first it will ask for you to add a name for your repository. I'll give the name as, say, my DevOps 2. This is the name I am going to give for my repository. Okay, this is for my DevOps 2 class. Okay, Pramod, I'm explaining slowly so that if there is any screen lag, it won't affect you. Okay. So next is you have to select whether it is a public repository or a private repository. For a default account, you can only have only have one private repository. Everything else should be public repository. Okay, so I'll create a public repository. Then only you will also be able to clone, or I'll be able to clone. Okay, then if you click this, initialize this repository with a README file, then it will create a README file by default. Okay, I am checking that one so that at least one file will be there by default in my repository. Okay, so I am clicking this create repository, and it has created the repository, and this is my repository now. It has one file which is readme.md, and the content of that file is my DevOps 2. This is for my DevOps 2 class. Okay, so is my screen lagging too much? Oh, okay, I'm not sure why. What I can do is, if you give me 2 minutes, then I'll restart my modem once again. Do you want me to do that? Okay, then I'll do that. Please give me 2 minutes. Okay, so can all of you hear me and see my screen? Okay, good. I hope there won't be any lagging now. So let's proceed. As I told you, I have created a new repository and I have one file in my repository. Now, what if I want to clone this repository to my local machine? For that, what you can do is if you go to terminal, I'll just go back to my folder. As you can see, there is no folder named my DevOps 2 in my machine. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to go to this clone or download button, and here you will get the URL to clone. Okay, so you can copy this URL and then you can go to your desktop and execute the command git clone followed by that URL. Okay, so now what it is doing is it is cloning that particular folder or particular repository into my local system. Now if I do ls, I can see this my DevOps 2 inside my local repository. I'll cd into that particular folder and I'll do ls minus la, and as you can see that readme.md is there in my local repository. Let me cat that file and see what is the content. See, this is the content, my DevOps 2, this is for my DevOps 2 class. See, this is what is the content of that readme.md file. Is it clear? Is clone clear to all of you now? Now, do you know how to clone a remote repository? Can you respond by the chat message? Okay, good. Now, let me show you how to add a remote. Like someone asked the doubt about remote. Okay, now in order to there are two ways. So Prapanshu is asking, can you say one more time cloning? Okay, so in order to, now I have a repository online. Okay, and I want to have that repository in my local system. Prashant is asking repository creation is using GUI. Prashant, this in GitHub it is using GUI, but in my local system I created using Git init. Okay, so let me explain cloning again. So once I create a repository, I'll get one clone URL, and using that clone URL, if I execute git clone followed by that URL, that particular online repo will be cloned to my local system. All the files related to that repo and everything will come to my local system. That is the use of git clone, to clone git remote repositories. Is it clear, Prashant? Sorry, Prapanshu, is it clear? Okay, good. Now, Kathy is saying, can you explain earlier clone? Yes, we'll come to that. So Jasmine is asking, so anybody can clone anyone's repo? Yes, if it is a public repo and you have the URL, then yes. Okay, now Jasmine is asking how to achieve the security. Now, see, you have this. If you want others not able to clone your repository, then you have to make it private. If it is a public repo, then others will be able to clone, but others won't be able to push without your permission. But they'll be able to clone. So if you want to prevent that, then you will have to go for private repository. So Pramod is asking, clone is basically backup. So how to point head to clone repo in case of issue? No. See, Pramod, clone is not a backup. Clone is you're having the same repo in your local machine. So if I do git log now, I can see there is only one commit. This is the initial commit where this GitHub used when it created this particular file. Actually saying clone means downloading a copy. Exactly, it is like that. Okay, so Rashmi is asking how to make it available to restricted number of audience. Rashmi, for that you'll have to create a private repository and you have to add users who can access that one. Okay, now let me come back. Now if you go to git remote -v, you can see there is one remote named origin. It is a default remote, and you can see the name. So this is the name of my git repository. See, this is the name. This is what I used to clone. So Pramod is saying, what is the use of clone repo? How can we use it? See now, okay, I'll tell you. See, so this remote is clear, right? Now, in order to push, like there are two ways in which you can clone. First with HTTPS, which is using this URL, and another one is using SSH, which is URL like this. This git remote minus v used to list the remotes that are available, list the remotes like these URLs that are available. Not to see that you will use git remote minus v. Okay, now I am going to add new remote, git remote add, and I'll use like SSH remote. I'll give the name as SSH remote. Okay, followed by this remote URL I copied from this one. Like using this SSH, I copied this URL. See the difference? In SSH, it will be like this. If it is HTTPS, then it is like this. Okay, so I am adding the remote. Now, if I execute git remote minus v once again, you can see this remote also is added. Now, using this remote, this SSH, you will be able to push your changes to your online repository or your remote repository. If you are say public and if it is under your account, then you will be able to push that. And if your git is configured correctly, then you will be able to push. Okay, so let me create a new file like nano new file .txt. This is a new file created from my local machine. Okay, so I have a new file. So Akhil is asking, so remote and clone are opposite, that is push and pull respectively. No. See, when you clone, you will be using the remote URL. When you are pushing, then what you will be doing is when you are pushing or pulling, then you will be using this remote name. That is what I am showing. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll use git add minus a, then git commit minus m. Kathy is asking what is fetch and push. Kathy, I'll show you. So git commit minus m added new file .txt. Okay, now in my local machine I have added this one. If I go here, if I go to my online repo and I'll refresh this, and as you can see there is only one file. Now how to push my changes to this one? For that, what you have to do is you have to use the command called git push. So I want to use this remote, so I'll be using that, and by default the branch is master, right? So I'll be using git push origin master or that particular remote name space master. Okay, now this is trying to push. So now my file is being pushed to my online repo. So if I go back to this one and refresh, then you can see this new file that I added from my local repo has come to my online repo. Is it clear? Is it clear to all of you? So this is the use of using remote repos. Now, if you are working on a code and another developer also is working on the same code, then what you can do is you can create a Git repo and both of you can clone that repository and work on the same content. Okay, Kathy is asking, Akhil is asking, is GitHub account free? Yes, GitHub account is free, but in the free account, you'll only get one private repo. But you can there are paid accounts available with GitHub where you can have multiple number of private accounts. Like there is a range where you can have 5 private accounts. There is one where you can have unlimited private account and like that. So Nainendra is asking, can't you use origin in place of SSH remote while pushing files? Nagendu, we can use that one, but origin using that HTTPS using my credential, I am not able to push. That is the reason why I use SSH remote. See, I am getting unable to access error. That is the reason why I am using this SSH URL. Pramod is asking, Bitbucket is same as GitHub. Yes, it is. It is similar to GitHub. Okay. Now, let me show you one more thing. Like, you can create new files using this GitHub GUI also. Okay. So I'm going to create a new file. I'll give the name as, say, new file 2.txt, and I'll give the content as, this is the file created using the GitHub GUI. Okay. Now here, this is the automatic description messages it will add to the commit. I'm going to commit directly. Okay. Now I just click commit new file, and my new file is coming in this repository. Okay, but if we go here, if I do ls-la, you can see that new file 2 is not there in my local repository. Okay, so how to get that on? For that, what you'll have to do is you have to use git pull. Okay, here you can use either origin master or SSH remote master. Here origin will work. So because it is public repository. So if you do git pull origin master, it will pull the changes. See, it will pull, and it has shown that, okay, it has added a new file. A new file is created. Okay, now if I do ls-la, I can see this new file here. And if you do say cat this one, you can see the content of that file that we created from this GitHub via this GitHub GUI. Okay, so Pravansh is asking where these repositories will be stored. Will it be in any server or cloud from where we can clone later in our? Actually, Pravanshu, in this case, when you're using GitHub, GitHub has its own cloud repository where it will be saving these things. But you can have your own cloud repository as well. But you have to configure that one. But in this particular case, GitHub has its own cloud repository, and that is where it will be saved. So once you're asking, is it free? Yes, there is a free account in GitHub, which is what I am using. But in free account, you can only have one private repository. Everything else should be public repository. Okay. Now, if you go to this one, if you click here, you can see the repositories that I have. Like I have one test A, test B, like that. Akhil Darin is asking, is GitHub and GitLab same? No, Akhil, GitHub and GitLab are different. Actually, GitLab is the GitLab. No, those are different. Those are different. So Pramod is asking how to configure a repo to different environments like QA, dev, and production. Pramod, for that you will have to use tags like just minus tag. You can give tag, and that is just tagging. That is just like a pointer. But what you can do is you can just give that tags, and that is how you can identify. But you won't be able to do much with that one. Okay, so I want to show you one more thing. I want to show you fetch. Okay, now let me go back to my repository, and I'm going to create a new file. Okay, so I'm creating this file to test fetch.txt. File to test fetch.txt. Fetch. Okay, now I'm committing this one and creating the new file. So I have added a new file. Now if you go here, you can ls-la, you can see that that particular file is not in my local repo. If I execute git pull, then it will pull that file to my local repo. That you know, right? Now what if I do git fetch origin master? If I execute git fetch, it's saying that it has pulled the thing. Okay, but if you go here ls-la, you can see that that file is not coming in my local repo. So what it will do is it will pull the latest changes, but it won't create the file in your local repo. So if you go to git log, you can see those changes are not there in the current current branch. This is a master branch. But if you do git log minus minus all, then you can see this to test fetch. So this is there in the database. Now what git fetch does is it will fetch everything from the git database. So it will recreate the git database, but it won't recreate the file. It won't execute the database to create that file in your local repo. That is the difference between git fetch and git pull. If you use git pull, it will update the database, and along with that it will create the file in your local machine. But git fetch will only update the database. It won't create the file in your local system. That is the difference between git fetch and git pull. Is it clear? Now this one we saw, this one also we saw. Then push. Now this is someone asked, like earlier when I initialize, like let me create another folder, mkdir demo folder for cd. Okay, so Umashankar is asking, he wants me to explain fetch once again. Okay, see Umashankar, when I executed git fetch, origin master, it has executed the command. What it did is it won't create the file. So now in my this remote repository, there is a file called to test fetch.txt file, right? But when I executed the fetch, that file is not created. But when I executed this git log minus minus all, you can see that database is getting updated. In the database, the updated thing is there, but it didn't create the file in my local machine. That is what fetch does. It will only update the database. It won't create the file in your local machine. But if you do git pull, then it will update the database and it will pull the changes to it will create the file in the folder in your repository, in your local repository. Like I can show you, like cd my DevOps. If you do, you can see that file is not there, right? Now if you want to do git, now what if, like now I told you, like git fetch, it will only fetch and it won't create the database. So if you want to create the database, if you want to create the file along with that database, then what you can do is, you can, after git fetch, you can execute the command git merge origin master. So what it will do is it will create that file. Now if I do ls minus la, you can see that to test fetch is, that file has come because I executed git fetch and git merge. So Prashant is asking, where can we use git fetch? So git fetch is used if you want to see the changes made to a remote repository without cluttering your local repository, without adding files, or without making changes on your local repository files. If you want to see what are the changes that the remote repository has made, then you can use git fetch. So git pull is equal to git fetch plus git merge. This is what you have to know. So git pull means it will fetch and it will merge. It will create the file and everything. It will update the database and it will create the file. But git fetch, it will only fetch the database, but it won't create the file. But git merge, it will create the file based on the latest fetch. Okay. Now come back to this demo folder. If you do git init, you know that it will create a .git folder, right? Now if you do 3 minus a, you can see this hooks folder. So what this does is, this is how you can automate with the help of git. So these are hooks, like web hooks, or those kind of hooks, where it will be, these files will be triggered when during a particular case, like before commit, this particular file will be triggered. So what you have to do is, you have to rename this pre-commit.sample to pre-commit, and that will be triggered. So whatever command, this is just a text file. Instead that you can sorry, Git folder. So these are just text files. Okay. So instead that you can execute shell script. Like see, you can. This is just a shell script file. So you can automate your things. Like if you want to do some testing before committing the change, or if you want to do something else before pushing, all those things you will be able to do with the help of these hooks files. Okay, so please don't edit these files unless you know how to edit it. Okay, so please, before you edit these files, please go in depth. Please understand this before trying to edit these files. Okay, but please understand that these hooks are the ones that we use for automation purpose. Okay, now these things we also, this git status minus s, it will give, like if you do git status here, you can see like this. But if you do git status minus s, it will show you a shortened version. Like let me create a new file. Okay, test.txt, git add minus a. So git status, it will show you message like this. But if you do git status minus s, it will show you a shortened message. That is only purpose. Okay. So now next thing is .git ignore file. So this git ignore, what it does is you can add some comments. Like if you want to ignore a particular files with particular extension, then what you can do is you can, like if you want to exclude files with say .png extension, then what you can do is you can create a .ignore file and add star.png inside that one. Then if you commit and all those things, then what will do is git won't keep track of files with that extension. That is what is the use of .git ignore. Okay, so if you want to ignore a particular file from git tracking, then you can create a .git ignore file, and then you can add the file you want to exclude or the extension. You can use regex format to add the files that you want to exclude. Okay, so these all we saw. This commit amend you will see. Okay, now I'll go back to this one. Okay, I'll go back to this one. Okay, now I'll commit. I'm going to commit a change. Okay, git commit minus m, then added a new file. Okay, now if you go to git status, it is already committed. And now if you go to git log, you can see this is my last commit, added a new file. Now what if I want to edit this comment message? Maybe I forgot to add something. Then what I can do is I can execute the command git commit, this one, git commit minus amend. Sorry, it's amend. Okay, here you'll be able to edit that message, like just to edit the message. Okay, so now it is edited. Now if you go to git log, you can see that comment is edited. So using this git commit minus amend, you will be able to edit the last comment of the last commit. So whatever comment that you gave for the last commit, you will be able to edit with the help of git commit minus amend. This is just for accountability or documentation purpose. It is not for the functionality of the thing. Okay. So in today's session, these are the things that you have to keep in mind. Git init to initialize a Git repository in your local machine. Then git add minus a to add files to the staging. Then git commit minus m followed by message to commit your changes. Okay, then when you are working with remote repo, you can use git clone to clone a remote repo URL. Then git fetch to fetch the change without applying the change. And if you execute fetch git merge, then it will merge the change that is fetched using git fetch, and you can also use git pull to pull the changes. Okay, is it clear? Now, Virendra is saying there was some lag in the session. Virendra, I'm not sure why that is happening, because my connection is a high-speed connection. I'm not sure why that is happening, but I hope when I reduce the speed, it was okay. Okay, now Pramod is asking, will you be doing practicals on configuration on different environments like dev, QA, etc.? Pramod, during the when we take configuration management, at that time we'll be using different modes like production, testing, etc. Yes, we'll be seeing examples of that. So Kyali is asking, origin master means. Origin master means, see here, origin means it is a remote name. Master means the branch name. Okay, by default, the default remote is origin and default branch is master. So mostly when you are doing, it will be origin master. But if you create your own branch or if you create your own remote, then it will be different. In this one, like when I pushed, I showed you, right? See, git fetch origin master. You see here I use git push SSH remote master. Here this was the remote name and this is the branch name. Okay, so now as homework, please go through this video once again and please execute the commands that I executed. So and if you have any doubt, please email me and I'll get back to you. Okay, so Akhil is asking, can we compare checkout of local repo with pull of remote repo? No, Akhil, you won't be able to do that. That commands that you're executing, like checkout, diff, and all those things is within your local repository. You won't be able to compare with server and the one that is in the server and local repository, because see, in that case you won't be able to use Git locally without internet connection. For that you need internet connection, right? Okay, so Khadi is asking, can tomorrow's class be attended in morning batch? No, Khadi, actually you will have to stick with this batch, because the morning batch is different. They are in different level. They started earlier, so you won't be able to attend that one instead of this one. But if you won't be able to attend this one, please go to the video and you can ask any question via the email and I'll get back to you. Okay, so please try again. Please exclude the comments that I mentioned. Please go through the video once again. So if there was any lag during the session, at least when you watch the video, it will be more clear to you. Okay, so if I was rushing, that is to cover, like now itself it's more than 3 hours. So since I had to answer a lot of questions regarding Vagrant and those things, that is why I rushed. And as you can see, I had to explain some things multiple times so that it will be clear to all of you. That is the reason why it got delayed. So please go through the video, and if you have any doubt, you can always email me. Okay, so that's it for today's session. We'll see you all tomorrow. Okay, bye.
Bye. Good night.